No, I wrote a play in 2006 in I just knew that I wanted to do two things: write about Los Angeles and show the world that Culture Clash could handle a drama because we'd been primarily comedy. I mean, right away as I began to write it and break out the story, it had a sweeping cinematic feel to it. So by the time it hit the stage at the Mark Taper Forum, it felt like as if though we had written a film for stage, and it wasn't really the case, but it definitely had noirish qualities, which is normally associated with film, and we wanted to tell a story that took place in one night on a rainy night in Los Angeles. It doesn't rain in LA that much. And this idea that nothing is cement in LA except the river, and that LA's not for everyone. Those were things I was achieving to do, not just mimic film noir, but add to the language of it. And I'd never seen one from the East Side point of view. There is a film from the late 40s, early 50s, I believe, called The Ring, and it's about a young Chicano guy from Chavez Ravine. And he goes around town and he can't get into the theaters because it's not Mexican night at the theaters. He can't get service at a diner, and cops are always looking for him and his buddies. That would be about the closest thing I've ever seen to Chavez Ravine, even though the movie Chavez Ravine, it's called The Ring, the closest thing I'd seen to Water and Power, but and then the story just had to be told. There's a million stories in the city, but it seems like too few of them get told from the point of view of the East Side, and I was interested in that, and submitted the play to Sundance Institute, and they accepted the play on the condition that I turn it into a screenplay. So within a matter of weeks, I went about not knowing how to do it, but stumbling through it, and then it took another year to really turn it into a screenplay. No, it's it's about brothers and love and the things that we put each other through as familia, and even though it's not always a positive story, nevertheless it's a story that's worth being told. And I think sometimes as Latino filmmakers or Hispanic filmmakers, we kind of get in that thing like, we have to tell positive stories. And I think in the end, Water and Power is a very positive story. It's redemptive qualities to it. You have to go through the dark in order to get to the light. In the end, these two brothers, nicknamed Water and Power, really do care about their community. But on a fateful night, everything is pushed and everything is tested and everything's right at the limit. And I'm interested in that space as an artist, as a human being, as a storyteller. Like, how do we operate in that space where everything's kind of critical and heightened and exaggerated? Because we live in that space too. And that's another flag we're planting. We're not just always docile. We're not just always the gardener. We're not always, the maid. And those are hardworking jobs. This neighborhood's full of hardworking people. There are times when we are the shot caller, the enforcer, the cop with power. Just hung out with elected state officials all weekend. There's a lot of power in that room. It's very, it grabs your attention, and they're like movie stars in a way. The new Speaker of the Senate, the Speaker of the Assembly, the whip, the majority power brokers, the minority power brokers. I mean, and that's really goes back to why and how and when of creating Water and Power that paradigm had shifted, and we had many Latinos in power and Latinas also. From Gloria Molina to Mayor Villaraigosa to John Perez to Eric Garcetti, who's he's part Mexican, bro. Well, it's an exciting time, for Latino cinema, I believe. U.S. Latino cinema, and if you look at even Chavez and Diego Luna, Water and Power is of the same movement. It's many, many generations later and many decades later, but it's Water and Power is the same promise that Cesar made, and it's a promise that in my movie the brothers forget to keep, and we examine what happens when you make a vow, una manda, or a promise to someone, and you forsake that vow to do what? To gain power, to gain money, to gain leverage. And so, you know, that's what I mean by it being part of a movement. We're not just doing American Idol here. We're not just showing the world that we can be sassy and sexy and smart alecky. We're saying these are big people problems. This is a big people town, and it comes down to some very, very small things. And and so, these films are interrelated to a degree, and because they have something important to say, they're not just star vehicles to make stars out of people. It's just like I said, it's a moment right now, and I I firmly believe that Chavez is going to pave a way like no other film has been able to do in so long, if ever. So we have to be able to follow that up right up with something very powerful and something that represents the people. And I'm worked with a group called Culture Clash for 30 years. I mean, there was more than one time when Cesar was in the audience. And the wonderful thing about Cesar is he had notes. He had notes. He had pointers. So Caesar came and applauded and supported, but he had a few notes for us. And one of the notes that I loved as we were walking across a courtyard, he said, and he did say it to a large group of people. I was just me and his bodyguard and him, and I think one of the other Culture Clash guys, and he said, to the effect that I know you're in a hurry to make your success, to put your stories out there, but take it from me, it doesn't matter when you get there, it just matters that you get there. So if you're marching from Delano to Sacramento and it takes 22 days, that doesn't just become a metaphor, it becomes an exercise. As long as you're moving, there's progress, and it doesn't matter. And I think that in Hollywood, the pressure is to get there younger, faster, better, quicker, shortcuts. And that's kind of what happens in Water and Power to the two brothers. They try to take these shortcuts, and there are no shortcuts, truly. Well, again, you talk about a movement. Lupe was kind of a movement. Lupe and Dolores Huerta are homegirls. Lupe and Hilda Solis, or Gloria Molina. I mean, Lupe could sit on the same table with those ladies. The generalas. And I had known Lupe for years, and I think we worked on a documentary together once, and she was just immensely supportive and proud, and she showed up on set like she was, getting ready to act opposite of Jack Nicholson, which she did, and helped him get an Oscar nomination. And she just came with that great deal of fun and playfulness, but prepared and a seriousness. Like she was ready to get down, and she's like, "Let's do this." And she didn't mind waiting 7 hours. It doesn't. Nothing happens right away. On a set, and so she was a consummate professional and helpful. And it was a complicated scene, and it didn't go well for an hour and rehearsals, and she really was one of those actors that just really wanted and helped to make it happen, and helped me figure out some things. It was choreography. There was almost 20 actors, one steady cam in an 8 by 8 foot cell, so it was a dance. And either you wanted to help and do it, or actors always have a lot of questions, and that's really cool too. But there comes a time when you just have to do it, and she was really like, "Let's do it. Let's do this." I hope they take away that they were entertained, that they saw themselves, they saw something they could recognize, and kind of when you walk out of a movie or a play, and you just feel a little bit better about the world, and you recognize that some tough things were said, some tough things happened, but in the end, we know more than when we went in. So that means that in the world of evolution. We're a little bit more evolved as humans, just prior to the movie as when we leave. I hope they just leave with a sense of thinking it's a story worthy of being told, and to consider things, consider the city of LA, consider environmental concerns, consider the promise that we made that not only would ourselves as individuals succeed and have agents and headshots and go to the gym, but that we would also be concerned about the people that help put us there, the shoulders that we stand on, so that we can achieve together and improve la raza, la raza. Yo quiero invitar a todos ustedes a la película. Es una historia importante. Es una historia de los mexicanos de este lado en los Estados Unidos. Y en este lado la vida es duro y importante. Y nos vemos, ¿no? Nos vemos a la película, a cinema latino, chicano, mexicano. Y venga.